Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen, and we're with comic Olga Namer. Olga Namer, how the hell are you?
Hi. I'm amazing. Not really.
Yeah, we'll start from that. Yeah, we'll pretend you're amazing to start. But online comedy during the quarantine, I follow you. You're Olga Namer across all social platforms. And have you been doing any social stuff? Have you been doing Zoom or Instagram Live, or have you started with, in-person stuff on rooftops or in parks?
I've been doing a lot of shows at Governor's Comedy Club. They have that outdoor patio show, and
Okay.
last night I was on their show. They have also an indoor show, but you're surrounded by a plexiglass.
I see that on your Instagram. That's amazing.
Yeah, and then yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's better than Zoom. And then I also do the park shows, the stand up New York.
Okay.
And I've done backyard shows. I've done yeah.
You're rocking and rolling. You're a big name, and so it sounds like, in trying to get people to a Central Park show, are you like, make sure to enter near 62nd East or 62nd West or something?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I know.
That.
Sometimes I get lost to the shows that I'm on. I'm like, I don't know how,
That's so funny. So you probably did Zoom to begin with, but now you're doing in-person stuff. And I see the people here at Governor's, and I think that's Long Island, and I don't see many masks there.
Where? There's masks everywhere.
Well, I'm looking at the picture of you surrounded by plexiglass.
Because so what they do, when you're walking around, you have to wear a mask, and then when you're sitting, they sit you in groups of 4, and they have to distance the tables all like 8 feet apart.
Yeah, I do see the table distancing, right?
Yeah.
And I suppose if you're sitting near people, maybe they're in your family and you're giving it to each other inside anyway.
That's why they do that, the rule. Like you can't mix. They won't, like if there's a group of 2 and another group of 2, they don't let them sit together. They have to pay for like a table of 4.
Yeah. I saw some tiered pricing when it can't come to QED's outdoor show. And I saw the seating situation. I was wondering if you paid more to sit alone, whereas 2 people can kind of, pay less and sit together from the same household. But I see on your social, one of them says unorthodox Jewish comedian. That's your Twitter, and the other one says unorthodox Jew. And it sounds like you were raised. Yeah, it sounds like you were raised that way, and it sounds like you no longer are, and maybe being a comedian right now is not looked upon fondly by the Orthodox Jewish community. Is that correct? And do you excuse that bad behavior? Do you excuse that judgment because these are people close to you?
Well, it's weird because like I don't think that like at first they were like thought I was probably lost my mind. But like it's more my parents that just want me to get married and think like they don't really like that I do this. But I think because they're worried about me,
And because once you get married, you're conceivably provided for, and being in the profession of comedy, maybe there's less of a safety net when it comes to money. It's a little bit lower paying, I suppose, than having a 2-income marriage.
I guess maybe my father just doesn't want to pay for me anymore.
It's like, thanks, Dad. You were paying quite a bit so far. Thanks a lot, Pops.
But that's when comedy was happening, I was like, because before the quarantine, I was like, fuck you guys. I don't need you anymore. I made $300 this week. And then the quarantine happened, and I was like, "Oh my God, I was joking. I was
joking, Dan. I'm a jokester, right? I'm a comic. You have the perfect
excuse. That's what I do. It's what I do.
And everybody else is making that much plus 600 every week, and so it's like, man, it would be a great time to be unemployed right now. To be able, I'm an independent contractor, so I can't collect some of that stuff. Some people are making bank per week. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, but I didn't even know about that. I just signed up for it. So what does that mean?
Oh, I have no fucking clue. And maybe you qualify, maybe you don't. Like if you were an independent contractor before, I think you could collect if things were shut down due to COVID. So you could say,
Yeah,
oh, all the clubs that paid me, they all had to shut down due to COVID, and you probably
100%.
could maybe start collecting. But what we're learning is that
Yeah.
the government is going to stop paying, right? When Olga Namer figures out that she could have gotten paid, they're going to stop paying.
No, that's what happened. I did it last week because everyone's like, "Why didn't you do it? You are a comedian and you're not making money." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I did it and I got money, which was like so cool. Uh, then I told my parents again. I was like, "I don't need you. I'm unemployed." You know what I mean?
You guys, yeah, I wasn't joking at all.
But now they're gonna stop paying, and I'm gonna be like, "No, I'm joking." You know?
You guys just don't get my humor. It's too complex.
Yeah.
It's very layered. Well, I love
So,
that. Yeah, one other thing we're going to talk about, which I love, is I was recently reading something about the BTK killer, which affectionately stands for Buy and Torture Kill, and they were interviewing his daughter, and they were talking
mhm.
about, how, I guess she's suffering from PTSD now that she discovered that her dad did all this awful shit, and so they were asking her, because you're writing a book, of course, and he wants
Mhm.
to be part of the book, and she's like, I'm not even going to let you be part of my book. But she can't even see him when she goes there because he's in a different room, and she would call him up, but then he would have her number, and she doesn't want the BTK killer to have her number. So yeah, one of your
But that's
topics.
her dad.
Yeah, that's her dad, and so he was a total loving father for decades, I think. But he had killed 10 people before she was born and 3 people after.
Oh my
And he
God.
said one time he was going to come out of retirement to kill somebody else, like his 11th victim, but he went camping instead. And they have pictures of her with her dad's arm around her on this camping trip.
Oh
And so
my God.
because I don't know, a FedEx delivery driver interrupted his 11th killing, he went camping instead. And so yeah, one of the topics that you brought up pre-pod, which I love, which is, can you love somebody who might have a mental illness, even if that mental illness is less than something like killing? Like, meaning if
Mhm.
they're like, of course I have, there's mental illness in my life and things like that, but do you excuse the behavior if the person's mental illness is manifesting in such a way where it's treating you like shit?
Yeah.
At what point can you get off that train?
Right. Um. So that was my question to you.
And I'm just like, I really,
Yeah.
I think I have like very little tolerance for it, but fortunately the
Mhm.
people in my life, like I have OCD. There's big time OCD going
Mhm.
on above me in the ancestral tree, but it doesn't
Mhm.
manifest itself in any way other than concern for my well-being, like worrying a lot about this.
Oh,
Will this happen? Will that happen? It's not somebody experiencing a manic episode and raging at me all the while. So if you're
right.
in that kind of relationship with anybody, a friend, a boyfriend, a family member, at what
Mhm.
point do you get off? Is it, get off the train? Is it when they start treating you to the point where you're developing your own anxiety or depression, or what?
Oh, right. I don't know because I keep everyone in my life.
Ah,
Like,
even
which
with
is
bad
bad.
behavior. Yeah.
That's why I asked the question because I think like I was surrounded by it. So it's like everything's excused. Do you know what I mean?
Ah,
Except for like, let me think. I like, okay, no, it's not excused. Like, I'll stop being friends with people, but then I easily forget why. And then and then it's like, oh, like 6 months, like a month later, oh, that's why. And it's like,
oh,
and then like so dumb, like, and then it will happen. It's like, and then it will happen again.
yeah.
You know, like I'll stop being friends. It's very hard for me to cut people out of my life, even if they're not good for me, because it's just very like, I don't know. I guess because if I recognize people's behaviors and I cut them out of my life, then a lot of people that I'm very close to now, I would not, like, I would have no family or friends. Do you know what I'm saying? Not all family, but uh, some.
Yeah, like, and I think I do the opposite. Like, I don't abide by bad behavior at all, but as a result, like, it's good that I'm an introvert because my life is filled with, maybe
Mhm.
two people, like meaning
Oh,
a couple friends that I've had for decades, and we have creative collaborations and things like that for
uh-huh.
poetry and music, and they came with me from Chicago, and it's just
Right.
like because I've had fruitful collaborative relationships with creative individuals, like anybody starts acting like ass, they're out of my life immediately. But
Really?
well, I mean, that just means that my life is a lot smaller. Like, Olga Namer, she probably can, walk down the street and 20 people know her because her life is fuller of people who, some of whom might
Oh,
occasionally act like shit, right?
right. I mean, I don't know, but sometimes, you know what it is? I try to like put myself, and maybe this is what I do wrong. Like it's not a right thing to do, but if someone did something mean, I try and like put myself in their like situation and try and understand like why they did it.
Yeah,
And then it's like, and then also, I guess if like, if someone's hurt or like mental illness is a part of it, then it's like, okay, I feel like I have to be understanding because like they didn't mean to hurt me, or they didn't mean to like do something that's not so nice,
right.
you
But
know.
how many conditions are actually like that?
It's
Like I
like I
suppose
want.
manic depressive is if somebody is truly having a manic episode,
Hmm.
then they're out of control, and of course things they say to you during that time could probably be excused. Or if somebody's depressed to the point where they're staying in bed and they're missing plans, of course that can be excused. But I imagine there's a lot of other people who try to use that excuse for behavior that they were totally in control of and they totally were cognizant of at the time.
So you think that like people are conscious and they do mean things on purpose?
Oh sure, just
See,
selfish motherfuckers, right?
no, see, I people tell me that, and I'm like, no. Do you know what I mean?
So what are some of these disorders where people
I
are
know.
constantly acting out of control?
I want to give examples, but I feel like if I give, the people will know that I'm talking about
Okay. All
them,
right.
and they're gonna be like,
Uh,
"That's because I'm bipolar." That's not, or whatever.
yeah.
Let
And
me
so,
think of like a good example. Okay, so I guess. All right, fine. No, I'm like trying to think of someone not close to me, but then I'm like, all right, I'll just go with my mother. But
yeah. Yeah. If it's the mother
she
and it's
has.
bipolar, yeah.
No, I think she has like OCD also. So like
Okay.
with things that like probably people won't get upset about, she does, because she like, I don't know, she like counts her like spoons in the
Yeah.
like in glass, like she counts
Yeah.
everything. So like to her, like if let's say a cup is missing, right, or like from, or a spoon or something, that to her would be like, she'll have a reaction that
Yeah.
most normal people wouldn't.
Oh,
And
right.
then
Like
it's like,
I would totally excuse that. Totally excused. Because
you
you
would.
first of all, oh yeah, because I have OCD and I have checking behaviors where I have to check everything before I leave the bathroom, etc. It's just awful. It's very
Would
angsty.
you yell now
Oh
your
yeah, yeah,
go
no. Like so, mine doesn't manifest itself in that way. Like if a roommate left a faucet on, I would give a shit, because it's
right.
like I just care about my own behavior. But like if you know the person so well that first of all you absolutely know, like you've walked in on your mom counting everything 4,000 times, you
Yeah.
buy that the disease is correct, you understand the manifestation is in this counting behavior, the fact that she turns it outward. I don't know if that's excused or not, but it's not like she's yelling at you for other things. But I just
Oh
think that
no,
that's the
she
rare
does.
instance that I would believe it, though. Like, so if it's other than the counting behavior, is there things that she's not obsessed with normally that she'll
No,
then
because
yell at you
now
for?
it's like, and I feel bad that I'm using her, but I don't, it's just that now, because like if you're living with someone who has OCD and you know someone, and you know that these things bother them, but then everybody has to make sure not to do certain things.
Yeah,
So because you don't want to make them upset, but now you're tiptoeing
yeah,
around and everybody has to live a certain way to not like spark the thing,
yeah.
the
So
problem.
yeah, I dislike that. Like, I suppose like so meaning like in my manifestation, nobody has to tiptoe. But
Right.
occasionally I've asked friends to be like, "Can you check to see if my car is by that curb?" and he'll
Oh,
check it, and
okay.
I'll be like, well, that's cool, because if we get a ticket, it's on my friend, and of course I won't yell at my
And
friend.
would you be like, okay, now you have to pay the ticket?
Oh, no, no, I would totally do it myself, because so I'm outsourcing these behaviors
Mm-hmm.
so that it's even easier on my friends because I'm considerate and whatever. But if you're living in somebody's house
Mm-hmm.
where these checking behaviors are there, maybe you have such a relationship where you can encourage him or her to do this exposure therapy that could help, or you could just move out. Like a lot of times I try to
No, yeah, I know.
trace things to my own behavior. It's like if I'm in this relationship with a chick or something and
Yeah.
she's acting this way, it's like, well, what's the payoff for me to stay in this relationship? It's like, no, I'm going to trace the fault back to me. She's not being a bitch. I'm
Mm-hmm.
being a schmuck for being with a chick who's treating me bitchily, and I'm gonna leave the relationship.
Right. I
But yeah,
feel
with
like,
your mother, that's a very unique situation. That's, yeah, if you live in her house and she's that way, then it's more. I would think it's more on you. Meaning
right.
you could leave or encourage her to get exposure therapy, but anything else, because you
I,
understand that that's
yeah.
the nature of her disease. If she starts yelling at, if you move out and she starts yelling at you about stealing cups, well, at that
Well,
point, I'd hang up. I'd be like, dude, I ain't fucking live there. No, I'm not going to put
no,
up with
I
bullshit.
didn't,
Let's set
I
a
feel,
boundary. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like it wasn't like the perfect example, but like, because I didn't want to like get into the details of of that, but like,
Sure.
but it's like, but sometimes you love these people and you want them in your life, and that's why you ignore, like, like if I was dating you, and you had that, I would be under, like, I would, and if it manifested in a way that wasn't like good,
Yeah.
but it was just that, then like a lot of people, instead of like, let's go get you help, it would be like, okay, let's just try and avoid these things.
Oh, so you're more of an avoider, not let's try to help. I'd be the other way. I'd be like, all right, I understand
uh,
it, and it's
yeah.
manifesting itself in this, that, and the other. So yes, I will allow you to outsource whether or not. Yeah, you can ask me if we parked away from the curb, but I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
pay your fucking ticket. And just understand going forward, I'm doing this as a fucking courtesy.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it gets beyond there, like if it ever
Yeah.
gets beyond there into anything else, and that's why initially, like I'm not. Yeah, let's not bring up an example and then attack the example. But to
Mm-hmm.
the extent Olga Namer is being like, there's a lot of people in my life and they all have this shit. It's like, I can't even fathom, other than the mother example, or like somebody who's in a bipolar mania or something, or somebody who's so depressed that they can't get out of bed and come see you at comedy shows or something. I just
Oh.
can't believe that there's that many plausible explanations for people's bad behavior that I would excuse a lot of it, right? Meaning if I were you,
It's
like
not it's
there's
not
not many
every by
disorders.
the
Yeah.
way, it's not everyone. I just want to make that clear.
Oh yeah.
I have a lot of normal people also, but then other people that aren't, like, I know the ones that do certain things, like let's say they gossip or whatever. But
Yeah.
then and say want to spread rumors. So then I would be like, and maybe it's not a mental illness. Maybe it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this person's feeling bad about themselves. That's why they're doing that, and they're in a bad place.
Yeah.
Now, do we excuse that?
Yeah. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. So you're saying you tend to kind of give those people the benefit of the doubt because they're going through X, Y, and Z. But I think for
Mm-hmm.
me, like to me, that just feels like drama. So to me, I would be like, this
No.
person's a gossip. I have a conversation with this person, and the next day, this person's talking shit about me. This person's inconsistent, two-faced. I can't rely on this person going forward. Like I think as I'm a Swedish German Lutheran from the
Mm-hmm.
Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not like
Yeah.
I don't have emotions, so if I ever feel drama coming on, I'm
You're
like, I
like,
need to get
bye.
this out of my life, yeah, immediately. So
Really?
is any of this stuff making its way into your act? Like if there's a gossip in your life, is he or she making his or her way into your comedy stand up?
Not really, but I should talk about
Yeah,
it.
at the very least you're passive
Uh,
aggressively making a shot at these people who are treating you like shit, right?
well, I don't say treat, like, yeah, they don't treat, like, it's weird because some of these people could be my best friends, and it's like I know what they do, but they're also a lot of fun. And I do this weird, yeah, I do this weird thing that I'm very aware as I'm saying something that maybe I shouldn't be telling this person this thing because they'll probably repeat it and make it into a thing.
Oh, okay.
And then, but then it's like I do it anyway. So I have issues
Oh,
for
good. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it sounds like the pay, like Oprah, and we'll leave you with this. I think Oprah had one wise thing back in the day when she was fairly mainstream. She said something like, "What's the payoff for you?" Like, so if
Mm-hmm.
somebody's staying in a bad situation, they have to say, "Well, this guy beating me makes me feel loved," or whatever. Or,
Mm-hmm.
me being with a friend who gossips is cool because I prioritize fun. This person's very
I
fun,
love
although,
fun. I
yeah,
don't
so
gossip
yeah,
with them,
yeah.
but
But
they're
you love
fun
fun,
to
yeah. You
like
prioritize other things, yeah. Whereas I prioritize peace and quiet and no drama.
you like right.
Yeah,
I
and one makes us a good comedian, that's you, and one
oh
makes us a
God.
podcast. Oh no, well, one makes us a podcaster, which is me. And
Well,
so
you're
people, yeah.
great at
Well, like I love talking to funny people all day long, and I'm glad to have finally got Olga Namer on my podcast. She's a big old fucking name, and so I mean, it doesn't come as a surprise to me that she's already doing the big time shows for Stand Up New York. So catch those dates. Are you posting those dates on Olga Namer on Instagram or Twitter?
Yes, I do it on my Instagram, probably stories, like Instagram
Okay.
stories. I usually put on my website, but everything's so like weird these days. They're like, "Oh, want to do a show?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and it's like in an hour. You
Yeah,
know,
last minute. Unless you're a
yeah,
web developer, that's not going to make its way into your
because
website.
we don't know about weather and shit.
Yeah, somebody
It's
said
like they get canceled.
yeah,
You know.
one person was like, I got heckled by thunder, and then the comedian
Mhm.
after him got canceled because of rain. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, these
Mhm.
shows are
Mhm.
kind of everything's tentative because of the weather. That's fucked up that you can get rained out or whatever in comedy.
Yes, and it's like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, I know we have to end, right? But like
But,
governors, we have to go.
oh yeah, but Governor sounds like it's a pretty lively crowd, and it sounds like if you have a lot of people in your life who are giving you shit, I would think a heckler at Governors, you could take that pretty
Oh.
easy.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, no. What happened is their tent from that storm, it got destroyed. They had to rebuild the tent.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like you have a collapsing 10 on you. You got to
Yeah,
start getting
not
that fucking workers comp because that unemployment. You better keep getting that because the tent could collapse on your head at any moment.
no, God forbid. But yes, it's like it's scary, but it's great. It's fun. I'll be there tonight, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so glad to have you on, Olga Namer. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Bye.